what's up everyone? Dark Ramos here with the Volume Profile Nerd, and I'll jump into the trade review for today for May 11th, 2023. And I'll just give a quick recap of what I was looking at on the daily for NQ. So it was these levels here, POC of this upper range from 8.3 to 8.11.22, and we had the value area low of that range, and I was looking at the value area high of 330.425. And we can see on NQ, we just kind of oscillated around the value area low of the upper range and held it here and bounced from here. So we couldn't get acceptance below it. And so it was just kind of buyers and sellers trying to figure out, do we want to head higher or do we want to break below? So that was NQ. Also on the hourlies, we had some good hourly levels. We can see here this value area high from 822, 826.22. We held the value area high almost to the tick and then bounced from there. And that was from, that level's from 822, right over here, 822, 826.22. So those are the levels I was looking at on NQ. On ES, we were looking at the value area high of this 331, 413 range over here. So we were looking at that in the POC down here. So just this range here, we couldn't find acceptance above it today. So it'll be interesting to see if we oscillate within it or if buyers try to break out. But I think it would be dependent on if NQ can break out and if XLF and XLV join QQQ or NQ to some upside. So we can see here on ES, we did head to that POC first thing in the morning, oscillated around the POC, bounced, couldn't get acceptance below the POC, and then are heading up to the value area high. So this range told a really nice story today on ES, and we had some hourlies here. We couldn't quite get to the value area high of this 4.5, 4.6, 23 range, which was notable. I would have thought that sellers wanted to get there, but they didn't. Then we got back into this range, got back above into this range from 5.859, so a recent range here, and headed to the POC of this upper range from, I'll just look here, from May 5th to May 9th, and stalled here at the POC, couldn't quite get there, but got close. And now we're pulling back from the POC here in pre-market. Just had some good levels that I was looking at. Also on the 1 minute, I had some ranges from yesterday that I drew up, and I'll just kind of showcase those real quick. I think I was on the, here we go, the 1 minute. So I just grabbed a couple ranges from yesterday on the 1 minute. I think even the 5 second, I might have grabbed a few ranges here on NQ from yesterday. And I told the one range that I used a lot today was it was this range here from yesterday. That range kind of helped me with some plays today, and we held the value area low for quite some time and then bounced from there, but I'll get into the trade review in a second. On ES, I also drew up some ranges. So we have here this range from yesterday. We had this little range from yesterday, this range from the CPI reaction, we went sideways a bit. This little range, which we couldn't find acceptance above today. And this range right here from the CPI reaction, we held the value area low almost to the tick and pulled back from there. And these two lower ranges help tell a story today as well. We can see, we held the POC here, held the value area low here, held the value area low here, pulled back, and held the value area high here of the range and bounced from there. So some good stories here were being told on these ranges. And the day time frame references were also some good guides there. So I'm not going to go too much more into the morning prep. We did open under yesterday's value on ES. So there was quite a bit of divergence this morning, with ES being well below its value area high from yesterday and under its POC, while NQ opened, let's see, NQ opened, it opened right up here. Yeah, NQ opened above its value area high. So it was quite a bit of notable divergence, and we were closer to the regular trading hours high on NQ and closer to the overnight high. So just took note of that. And, in the morning, I felt like NQ was a bit stronger because XLV and XLF were pulling back, and NQ didn't pull back as much as XLV and XLF. XLV, I think, was like the weakest sector. It pulled back the most. And yeah, so that was kind of the morning prep, what I was looking at. And I'll go over my first play. So let me go into my trades. I know I kind of went over that quickly. I do go over my morning prep in the morning video that I post on the channel. But just wanted to give a quick rundown, kind of an overview of what I was looking at and the different levels. All right, so my first play, this one would have been a really good one. So, for me, it's just having more conviction in my plays. So essentially, this was at 8:43 Central. I'm in Central Time. So this was at 8:43, and I lined up this play really well because I thought, we pulled back first thing in the morning. We just pulled back, and I lined this play up with NQ getting to its overnight low. And if I go to the 5-second on NQ, see if I can get there. Yep. So on NQ, I lined up the short on ES because I felt it was weaker because of XLV and XLF pulling back. So I said to myself, once NQ, so we pulled back on the morning, and let me hide this little bit of balance here. Sorry, I'm going a little bit fast. I'm just trying to make these videos a bit quicker. But yeah, essentially we pulled back on NQ. We held that range from yesterday. I'd have to go way back to kind of, find where it was. But I think it was like that lower high initially in the morning. But we bounced from that level. We held the value area low, held the POC, got a nice bounce to the overnight low. And so I said to myself, once we get to the overnight low, I'm going to look for the sell on ES because I felt ES was the weaker sector. So on ES, I had these two ranges from yesterday, and we couldn't get above the value area high. So I thought that could be a good trade location with NQ approaching its overnight low. And I entered ES short here, and my stop was about 2 points away. So my stop was like up here. And we had a pullback, and I was watching NQ for this play, and NQ didn't make me comfortable because, oh shoot, let me hide that range again. So we'll hide it here. So NQ, I wanted NQ to reject from the overnight low, but NQ just oscillated around it and then bounced to the previous day close. Once I saw NQ kind of oscillating doing this, I wasn't very comfortable in the ES short because if NQ were to get above its overnight low and then bounce from there, ES could potentially get back to the open. So I wasn't too confident after we didn't get a clear rejection from the overnight low. And I should have used my levels a bit more because we rejected right from the value area low of a range. Let's see if I can grab it. I'd have to scroll back, way back. Yeah, this was the overnight low. This was the range from the morning from yesterday. So we rejected from there, couldn't find acceptance above that. And, I could have used that because, if we're not going to find acceptance below this value, buyers should be looking to the next range or the next, high volume area, which was, I would say, this one. And we rejected right from it. And I was in the right name because while NQ was doing this, getting up to its, getting even more of a bounce, ES was just stalling up here, couldn't get above the value area high. And again, that's because XLV was pretty weak. And I think at the time XLF was pulling back as well. So it was definitely in the right name, but just NQ didn't make me comfortable. So, sold 5 points in once we got the pullback. Just cut the short quickly, but I got like 2 points on ES. I was playing the minis on this, and I think that's why I wasn't as comfortable also because it's more leverage. Um, but I was putting on adequate risk for the contracts. I had two contracts here, and then I just sold the two contracts here for like 2 points of a win. It was a 1 point pullback and on two contracts, it was 2 points. So decent win on the morning, but given the trade thesis, it would have worked out beautifully because once NQ started pulling back, ES pulled back all the way to its value area low, and I could have cut it close to the value area low for, over 10 points on ES, or about 10 points, which would have been a really nice win. So I'm still waiting for that, kind of really nice win on the minis. I only take one attempt on the minis, and if I stop out, then I go to the micros. This was my one attempt. It was a small win. So after that, I didn't use minis anymore, just took the win. And after that, I decided to play with micros. All right, so on to NQ. NQ, I made a few plays. So on the 5 second, like it was really nice. I play with very low risk on NQ, only 5 points risk. And I used the 5 second to kind of time my entries. And this range from yesterday, and I do have to go back to it because it was just such a nice range. It was from, I think I already went back, but yeah, it was this lower high here once we pulled back this lower high from yesterday. And it just told a really nice story this morning. Buyers or sellers couldn't get acceptance below it. We were under the overnight low in the open. So, sellers were, they controlled the morning for the most part, but they couldn't find acceptance under that range, under the value area low of that range. And, once I saw like we held it here, we bounced up to the previous day close and this range here, pulled back, couldn't find acceptance below that range, and oscillated around it, held it here, held it here, held it here. And once I saw these multiple holds, like I saw we held it here, held it here. Once I saw we held it here and we got above the value area high, I looked for a long right off the value area high, and just a little bit too eager, entered here and got stopped out close to the POC. I could have waited for us to get back to the POC. Let me remove some of these brushes. Yeah, I could have waited to get to the POC to make my entry here. And, we held the POC almost to the tick and got a nice bounce from there. But once I saw we held the POC, I re-entered up here and got risk-free here, sold another contract close to the overnight low, just a few points away from the overnight low. So I had I got 4 contracts here. This was a full stop here. I think it was 4 contracts, I believe. Yeah, but low risk. But I entered here, sold half here, sold another contract here, and then I got stopped out here. Or I think I might have exited the position once I saw we were pulling back. Let me see here, 30 and 90. Yeah, I just exited. I just didn't have a lot of conviction. In hindsight, I could have left my stop where it was because I think my stop was like right here. And we did get another bounce, and I could have maybe cut it once I saw we didn't get to the overnight low. Could have cut it here for a bit more profit. So, once again, we pulled back. We held the POC. We got the bounce going. This was kind of a late entry, and I have to be careful of this. And I think I entered here too because we had this little range, and if I draw it out, I was watching this here, and once we got back above the POC, and sometimes I just watch where the price cursor is or the price line, and I'm able to match it up with this. So once I saw we were above the POC of this little tiny balance from this morning, from this little balance, I just entered long to try to catch the momentum, to try, because at this point I'm thinking sellers they can't get below the range, and we held the POC here, so maybe we get to the overnight low. Entered long here, got risk-free, and then got stopped out here. So that was a risk-free trade. And then one more time, I saw we pulled back, oscillated, got below the range, again, oscillated around the POC. And once we broke above the POC, I re-entered, got risk-free here, sold another contract at this upper range from the morning from here. And I had one contract to ride, so I let the contract ride. We did get to the overnight low. We pulled back, or once we got this little like 5-second higher low, I set my stop under here and then just got stopped out here, which was fine. I was happy with that win. And yeah, so I tried it again. So we pulled back, held the, oh, and one thing I want to mention too, on this pullback here, like I think it was the low of day, this low of day, oh no, it wasn't. Oh yeah, it was. This low of day right here matched up perfectly with this value area high from 822, 826.22. So that was just a really good reference there. Sellers couldn't get below into this range, or yeah, back into that range from 822, 826.22, and we bounced from there. I was also keeping an eye on this value area low of this daily range, and we just kind of oscillated around it. But yeah, just wanted to mention that because that was a good reference there. That kind of set the low of the day. Or did it? Oh no, we did get a new low. Oh no, this set the low of the day. Sorry. So yeah, it was over here later in the day that it set the low. This didn't quite set the low yet. Okay. So yeah, that was that win. Yeah, and those were all my plays on NQ. I think it was pretty decent. I did get a few points on NQ, maybe 10 points with, some of these plays. Some were break even, but it was mostly break even because I had a few losses and a few wins in here. But I do like kind of how the ranges I drew came into play. And overall, I think I could have had a decent win with, this play and this play, maybe not scaling out so aggressively and letting just two contracts ride maybe to the overnight low. Could have used that as a reference for both of these plays, get risk free and then let two contracts ride to the overnight low. And that could have netted me a bit more profit, even though I did take a few losses here. And these two were kind of like break even and these two were wins. Yeah, so kind of break even there. And then on ES, I did take a few plays on ES. So on ES, I was looking at, sorry, I'm speaking a little too fast here. Let me see what ranges I was looking at on ES. Yeah, I thought we might reject from this daily POC on ES, which we didn't. But essentially, I was looking for ES to get to the regular trading hours low, this daytime frame reference here. So once we got below this range that I had from yesterday, once we got below, I looked for the 1 minute lower high off of, below this range, and my stop would have been right above it. So entered here, and we did pull back a little bit. I sold like 3 contracts here. I think I had 4 contracts on ES or MES. And, sold 3 contracts in like 1 point or like 1.5 points in. And then I got stopped out here. So this was a small win. And I was doing some other work. So I was, I didn't have too much conviction and I wasn't, I was trying to trade while doing kind of another thing. So I just cut it because I was like, yeah, that's not really how I like to trade. And we held the value area low like so many times here on ES. And I could have cut it once I saw we held the value area low one more time. And then XLF, started getting a bounce and NQ bounced and XLV started bouncing. This was 944. Yeah, most sectors were bouncing at that time. SPY headed up. And I took one more play at the end of the day on ES. Probably, could have not done it, but just looking for this lower high off of this range here from yesterday because I saw the range was kind of reactive. So looking for the POC of the range to hold. So I entered. My trade location wasn't great, so I have to kind of get a bit better at that, but entered here once I saw we were oscillating around the value area high of that range from yesterday. We did get a pullback. I sold half to get risk free and then got stopped out here. And I think it might have been a small loss. Yeah, it was a small loss because my stop was a bit higher. So yeah, just took a little loss there. But yeah, that was my trading day. I think I can do a bit better tomorrow. Maybe have more conviction in my plays, because this one ES trade would have made my day on the morning had I stuck with that one contract to get to the value area low. Would have made my day, and I could have just played the micros after that and made a few plays after that. But a couple break evens, small losses after that. But overall, like if I'm using MNQ points, I got about 60 MNQ points on the day. And if that was minis, it would have been a really good day, but still playing micros because I'm just starting to get a rhythm, starting to feel like I have a system and starting to get conviction in the system. So just taking it one day at a time, doing my prep, really happy with my prep. Happy with the 5 second on NQ. Once I see these ranges coming into play, I can have patience to kind of set up a play and see where I want to enter the trade and, get some good trade location to potentially get risk-free quickly and then see if the play plays out. This one, I could have been more patient waiting to see if we get to the POC. But yeah, happy, after we held the POC and bounced, I was able to get a play in there. This one I did get risk-free. We did pull back. This was a nice one where we couldn't get acceptance again below the range, bounced above the POC. I entered once we got back above the POC, got risk-free, sold the contract here, and got a few points there. So that was over 10 points, about 14 points on one contract. And then these were about, on 3 contracts, about 18 plus 10. So about 28 points. That's pretty nice there. And this one, yeah, just a full loss, thinking we held it again and we were going to, head up higher, but we did pull back initially. And then again, I did the same thing, entered, got risk-free, and then this was a nice play here. So overall, some nice plays. I'm not going to win every play, but if I can get a net positive result out of this, which I think I did, I'd be curious to see. No, I'm pretty sure I did get a net positive result out of this. And this one ES mini play had me, green. And then I think I just took very tiny losses on these. This one, no, I think was pretty close to break even, maybe a small win and a small loss on here. But yeah, that was my trading day. So we shall see for tomorrow. Right now, on ES, we are right at the value area high of this 331, 413 range. And we'll see if we find acceptance above that in the overnight session, or if we pull back to the POC, maybe in the overnight session. And we do have some hourly ranges that we're contending with right now on ES. I think buyers want to get above this POC of 5558, maybe get the value area high, or we pull back maybe to this POC. So we shall see what the morning looks like. I don't play the overnight session, so, just curious to see, how it plays out and how those levels come into play. On NQ, on the daily, yeah, we're back into this 8.3, 8.11 range. See if buyers can get to the POC. That'll be interesting to see with ES below its value area high of that daily range. If NQ can get acceptance above that, maybe the overnight session for ES will look a bit better. Not sure, but we shall see. And on the hourlies, NQ, wow. And I was looking for this play, like, the value area high here to the value area low of this 8.3, 8.9 range, and beautiful. Like I was, and that's the thing, like that's why I love doing this every day, because I'm starting to see that my thesis can be correct. I was thinking if we hold this, we could get here, which is exactly kind of what happened. And that's 100 points right there. It's just a matter of me realizing that how we get there can be, it doesn't have to be a straight line, right? We don't have to do this. Like we pulled back initially and then did that. So, always having patience and seeing how these different scenarios play out, I think is just adding to that experience, or that, box of experience, if I can put it that way, where I can see how these different things play out. And the most important thing is how the levels hold. And if they hold, well, maybe I can have the confidence to sit through, an hourly higher low to get to this level. But yeah, that's what I got for today. I know that, like, the beginning of the video, I was a bit rushed. I'm just trying something new with gaining more conviction and trying to kind of formulate all these thoughts in a concise way. I don't think I did it that well today, or that effectively. I was kind of rushed and a little bit, kind of rushed. So hopefully that all made sense. I'm just trying to piece together all this information and provide it in a concise way. And I do think I will get better as time goes on with this, but there's just so much I'm looking at and so much I want to convey, that for me to do it in a concise way, I think it's just going to take practice. But yeah, later in the day, we got back above yesterday's value on NQ, and headed higher after that. And that's the other thing. And I was watching this. Let me bring back that fixed range. So after we, or you know what? I can show it better on the 1 minute here, because I think I drew it on the 1 minute. Yeah. So it was so interesting. Yeah, I do want to go over this. It was so interesting because once we broke through, so the morning we had this sideways range, and we just cracked through that. And I had a play set up at 1391 right here at the POC, because I thought, we cracked above, maybe we get back there and then we go. And I should have, maybe I could have scaled in. This is one thing I think I could have done better. I could have scaled in here and then maybe had a scale in here, because we just held the value area high of this morning range. And then we got a good bounce from there. And what that looks like on the 5 second, I was just we held this morning balance. And let me bring up that range. We cracked through the range, and then we couldn't find acceptance below the value area high of that range. We held the value area high of this morning range. So if I hide, if I hide this here, we held the value area high of this little balance to the tick almost, and then we got the bounce going. So I think that's a nice learning lesson for me. If sellers couldn't get below this range, and we couldn't get, to the POC convincingly, sellers couldn't even get there, that showed that selling wasn't too strong. I could have had conviction to enter here, one position here, close to the value area high of this range and the value area high of this morning balance, and reserve another entry here, and could have got a really nice fill. But I was waiting for the POC, and I think I could have just scaled in here and here, and could have, I would have only gotten 2 contracts, but that would have been fine. Could have de-risked and then, maybe sold at the open, and that would have been, 25 points. And if I would have held or had a lot of conviction, could have held to the regular trading hours high, and that would have been another 45 to 50 points, 40 to 50 points, depending on where I cut it. I probably would have cut it at the regular trading hours high for 46 points, or 44 to 46 points around there, or 40 to 46. But just notice that play, and that's just a learning lesson for me to, it's okay to scale in. If buyers are proving more, maybe make one scale in and then reserve another one for the POC. Because at that point, sellers again would have to get through all of this range to go back on the offensive, and they couldn't even get to the POC. So just showed that selling wasn't too strong after this. And we got this big move up, held it here, and got to the regular trading hours high, almost to the overnight high too. Couldn't quite get there. All right. So that was my trading day. Really just liking these plays and practicing and watching it. Actually we did get to the overnight high. Yeah, we did. Later in the day, we got to the overnight high here, and then pulled back from there. So that would have been, had I held to the overnight high, would have been about, like 60 points. But my stop would have had to been under here, which I don't think it would have been. I think I would have cut it at the regular trading hours high for sure. But we did pull back. Almost got to the POC, which is where I was looking for the entry. We got to 13.94. Like 13.94-ish, a little bit below that. So not exactly to 13.91, but that was the play I was looking for. It did set up close to it later in the day. And then we did get a nice bounce from there. So that would have been a good trade location too, right here, to then get to the, regular trading hours high or overnight high there. But I was doing a few other things during this. But yeah, just going to keep practicing, going to keep watching these levels. For me, it's very much one day at a time. And it's becoming, me getting proficient at, my morning prep, watching these ranges, watching how these ranges react, watching tempo, watching what sellers are proving, watching what buyers are proving, and making plays based off of that. So it's very much, I feel like, game theory. And I might read that book because that's what it feels like. It feels like it's just like game theory of like, what are sellers proving? What are buyers proving? And using these ranges to get some good trade location and just being, on point or sharp on the morning with the ranges from the previous day, the daily ranges, the hourly ranges, and the ranges that might set up during that day. So, and watching, relative strength and weakness between ES and NQ, and watching XLF and XLV, those two sectors, to see if they're helping SPY or pulling, or, helping SPY pull back. And is NQ joining the weaker sectors, or is there a rotation? Is NQ bouncing while, XLV is pulling back, or, while XLV is pulling back, is NQ bouncing, or are all sectors weak, and all that good stuff. So all of this is helping me keep a pulse on the market. Trading has completely changed for me, where it's more like being on point in the moment. It's like being present in the moment with what's happening, and it's always changing. And that's the thing. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to mention today. It's like, I'm going to call it contextual trading, because trading to me, it's not about, I've been like, I don't follow Twitter or any social media, because to me, it's all very contextual. Like, I don't need to know, like, I want to have a bigger picture for sure of like what buyers are doing on the weekly time frame, daily time frame, because that starts to give me a reference for our sellers proving anything or our buyers proving more. That definitely for sure. But during the day, it's like, it's very contextual. Like, what are sellers proving on the daily ranges, hourlies? What levels are we holding from yesterday on the 1 minute? What are we doing on the 5 second time frame? Are we getting acceptance below specific ranges? Were sellers able to get down, to this range? They weren't, and then we cracked above these two ranges from yesterday, held the value area high of, this little morning range, and then bounced from there. So it's just seeing what buyers and sellers are doing, and using the references that I have marked up on the daily, hourly, 1 minute from yesterday, or even 5 seconds sometimes on NQ from yesterday, and then any ranges that develop during the day, and watching how price reacts to these levels and ranges, and looking at relative strength and weakness and what other sectors are doing as well. So just I'm continuously repeating these things to myself, because the more I repeat it, the more training it is for me. And yeah, it's just getting kind of exciting, and I really enjoy it. So, or not exciting, I think the less emotional it is, I think the better. Like, I think for me, it's just honing the craft. It's becoming like just the craft, right? It's just the craft, and that's all it is. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be more than that. It's just the craft. And the more I work on that, the less emotion I feel will be involved. There's always going to be emotion involved, but the more I work on my craft, the more that starts to take precedence over any surging or it starts to override those, emotions basically, because I realize that I'm putting in the work, I'm developing these nuances, or these things that I'm looking at and observing, and using all the levels and time frames that I'm looking at to help formulate a thesis. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll have to kind of assess, and if the thesis was good and I'm wrong, then that's okay too. Like, so I'm not going to win every one, but if I'm continuously honing my craft, then I can take, losses, because yeah, that's part of the game, right? Like, so that's okay too. And that's development too, like learning how to take losses, and continuously learning from that. And yeah, and just balancing it, like not balancing it out, but like if I take a loss, working on my C game to let that be okay, and then kind of reevaluate after that. So yeah, a lot of talking today. Just kind of excited working on the craft, and just enjoying it, and it is becoming a craft for me. So like, or a discipline, a craft, a training, and I'm really enjoying it. All right, so that's all I got for today. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next trade review. Thank you.